Hey everyone, let's jump right into today's explainer. We're looking at a day defined by massive volatility, from epicenters of global conflict to economic shockwaves hitting Wall Street, and finally looking outward to the stars. My goal today is to cut through the noise and show you exactly how these seemingly isolated events are deeply interconnected. To help us digest all this, we've broken it down into four key themes: global conflict and geopolitics, tech, markets and economy, law and civil unrest, and science, health, and disasters. Let's see how these connect. Starting off with Part 1, Global Conflict and Geopolitics, let's look at the urgent crises driving today's global volatility. Okay, so look at this timeline. We literally just had a fragile Israel-Iran truce announced, right? But within hours, boom, a U.S. Navy jet disables a tanker in the Gulf of Oman. Later, a suspected Iranian drone takes down a U.S. Apache helicopter near the Strait of Hormuz. And immediately, the U.S. launches retaliatory strikes inside Iran. It's wild how fast a regional containment strategy can completely unravel in real time. And the economic fallout from this? It is massive. We're talking about Middle Eastern crude output plummeting by a staggering 11 million barrels per day. 11 million! The bottlenecks paralyzing the Strait of Hormuz aren't just military concerns anymore. They are literally choking off a vital artery of the global energy supply. Staying in the Middle East, the humanitarian impact is also widening. Sweeping evacuation directives were just issued for the Lebanese coastal city of Tyre. This comes right after a heavy Israeli airstrike killed 8 people and injured 32. And what's really devastating here is that multiple healthcare workers were among the casualties, which puts an unbelievable strain on an emergency response network that's already stretched to the breaking point. Meanwhile, over in the Russo-Ukrainian war, the frontline city of Kharkiv just saw one of its absolute bloodiest days this summer. A massive, coordinated Russian missile and drone barrage hit residential areas, leaving at least 10 dead and over 100 injured. It's a brutal reminder of the real, continuous toll this conflict takes on non-combatants. Shifting over to Asia, Chinese President Xi Jinping just touched down in Pyongyang for a high-profile state visit with Kim Jong-un. Now, the timing here is absolutely crucial. Beijing is reaffirming these traditional strategic alliances at the exact same moment we're seeing increased military cooperation between North Korea and Russia. It really shows how the geopolitical chessboard is shifting in direct response to Western conflicts. So you can see how all this instability creates massive economic shockwaves. That takes us right into Part 2, tech, markets, and the economy. Now, check out this market contrast, because it kind of defies conventional logic. Normally, dropping energy prices are a reason to celebrate on Wall Street, right? And Brent crude did fall 3.3% down to $91.12, giving us a bit of inflation relief. But no one was celebrating. That good news was entirely overshadowed because the tech-heavy Nasdaq took a nearly 2% nosedive, and the S&P 500 dropped 1.1%. Why? A major correction in AI-linked equities, heavily led by chipmakers like Micron. It looks like the massive AI hype cycle is finally facing a harsh reality check. Speaking of AI, Apple just wrapped up its big WWDC keynote, rolling out iOS 27. The heavy hitter here is a huge, long-awaited native AI overhaul for Siri, alongside some advanced parental controls and system-wide automation. But honestly, the biggest takeaway you should have from this event isn't just the software. This was a massive milestone because it was Tim Cook's final keynote as CEO before John Turnus officially takes the helm on September 1st. We're literally watching the end of an era for one of the world's most valuable companies. Stepping away from big tech for a second, the auto industry is dealing with its own operational nightmare. Stellantis has just issued an urgent, high-risk recall for over 1 million vehicles. 1 million! Specifically, we're talking about Jeep Wranglers and Gladiators spanning the 2021 to 2025 model years. The issue? Severe underhood fire concerns. If you drive one of these, that's a huge safety alert you need to be aware of right now. Okay, let's see how these global shifts play out on a local level. Moving into Part 3, Law and Civil Unrest. Over in Northern Ireland, severe riots and violent clashes have just exploded across the streets of Belfast and Newtownards. These anti-immigration riots kicked off following intense public outrage over a weekend incident involving the attempted beheading of a local resident by a Sudanese national. It's a stark example of how one highly localized, shocking event can instantly ignite underlying societal tensions and trigger widespread disruption. Now, shifting to the legal sphere in Asia, we've got a truly historic anti-graft ruling in Sri Lanka. a high court just handed down a massive 16-year prison sentence to former Deputy Minister Sarana Gunawardena. This conviction involves multiple counts of corruption specifically tied to kickbacks from government procurement contracts. 16 years is huge. It's a significant moment for accountability in a country that's been actively battling systemic political corruption. For our last segment, we're looking beyond human conflicts. Here is part 4, Science, Health, and Disasters. All right, the U.S. agricultural sector is dealing with a sudden, very serious biosecurity threat. The USDA is sounding the alarm because the flesh-eating New World screwworm has spread beyond Texas, actually infecting a dog in New Mexico. Now, why does this matter to you? Because this parasite threatens to cause massive disruptions to the U.S. cattle industry and our broader food supply chain. In fact, it's already triggered a temporary ban on Canadian livestock imports. So, a local biological issue literally overnight became an international trade roadblock. In the Philippines, we're getting tragic updates on the human toll of a recent, very powerful earthquake. Disaster agencies operating in the southern island of Mindanao confirmed that the death toll has unfortunately climbed to 41, with another 479 people injured. On top of that, there's extensive infrastructure damage reported across the Davao and Suxgarjan regions. It's going to require a massive, prolonged recovery effort to get things back on track. On a somber note for the academic world today, Pulitzer Prize-winning historian Gordon S. Wood has tragically passed away at the age of 92. He was struck by a vehicle in a Rhode Island parking lot. If you've ever studied the American Revolution, you likely know his work. He fundamentally shaped how we understand the founding of the United States. We are wrapping up today's explainer on a truly expansive note. NASA has officially announced the 4 astronauts who will crew the historic Artemis 3 mission in late 2027. Randy Bresnik, Frank Rubio, Andre Douglas, and the ESA's Luca Parmitano. The mission profile here is incredibly complex. They'll have to execute critical lunar docking operations with both SpaceX's Starship HLS and Blue Origin's Blue Moon lander. It is a massive, highly collaborative leap toward humanity's permanent return to the moon. So, taking in this massive scope of today's news, from the volatile Middle East and tech stock swings to historic legal rulings and returning to the moon, it really begs a vital question. As humanity prepares to expand our scientific reach back to the lunar surface, amidst all this deep global turbulence, what ripple effect will this new era of space exploration have back here on Earth? Will it unite us in shared discovery, or just create a brand new arena for our earthly conflicts? Something to keep in mind as you process today's headlines. Thank you for joining me for this explainer, and stay curious.